In today's episode, the amazing Maya Ford and Cynthia Washington will be interviewing Mr. Ryan Dunn of the Basil Company. Take it away, guys.
Today we're going to be interviewing Mr. Gabriel Hammel, who is a real estate investor, and he's going to be interviewed by Noah Jackson, Janiyah Wilson, and Sire Washington.
First of all, how are you today, Gabriel?
I'm doing pretty fantastic. How are you guys doing?
Well, I'm doing amazing, and that's great that you're doing great. And moving to my first question. My first question is to all the rookies and the noobs that don't know how to do real estate. What is the easiest and affordable way to buy real estate and property?
Question. There's a lot of ways. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You know, I started out with not having any money and just a strong desire. So I think having that desire is really, really important. We talked, offline here for a little bit about just the having goals and that mindset. I think that's really, really important. I think if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way. For me personally, out of necessity, because I didn't have money, I started buying a lot of my properties very unconventionally using seller financing, which is very different than going and getting a loan from the bank. And I didn't have the means when I started to go pay cash for a house either. So seller financing could be a whole podcast in itself. And that's really how I got started with no money. And there's a lot of other ways to do no and low money down deals as well.
Okay, well, that's great. Thank you for sharing your secret about how to do it with no money. Well, to my next question, I looked on your website for more information about you, and you said that the most important pillars in your life is being healthy, wealthy, and to be happy. Now, why is those your most important pillars, and how did those pillars get you where you are today?
Question. For me, family is definitely number one. Health, wealth, and happiness are extremely important. And early on, when I was younger, not much older than you guys, and I read that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, I originally thought it was all about the money. In fact, I'd go around saying, like, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be wealthy, and it's, yes, I wanted to achieve some level of wealth, but just through my own self-reflection, I actually found that what I really wanted was to own my time. I wanted to be able to be financially free, not because I wanted to swim in a pile of money, because that might be cool for about 5 seconds, and then what? For me, it was really about, I want to do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. And a lot of that has to do with being able to spend time with my family, being able to jump on calls like this. My health is important to me, being able to spend time, if I want to go work out in the middle of the day or go to lunch with my wife, just being able to have that financial freedom to really allow me to have time freedom to do these other things in my life that are important. So I love real estate. I love building wealth. I love business. That's a part of it. But it also allows me to really just spend time in these other areas of my life that are more important to me.
That's really great because other people always want to filthy rich, and but they never know what to do with that money. But you want to be financially free, which is different than being filthy rich. And going to my final question, what is the challenges what challenges have you faced because of the pandemic?
Noah, you asked some damn good questions. I've been on a lot of podcasts this year. You asked some good questions, so keep it up. I look at challenges as an opportunity. There was a lot of unknowns with COVID. I think most importantly, just staying aware and just realizing going into any business or just in life in general, there's going to be unknowns. When things started changing and all the stuff with COVID first started happening, people didn't know if tenants were going to stop paying rent, if tenants were going to, move away. There hasn't been a lot. I mean, it's a very interesting market because real estate specific, the market's really high across the country. There's not a lot of property on the market. So you'll hear people say inventory is low. That just means there's not a lot of properties on the market, but prices are high. And I don't think that's going to last forever. I'm not an economist. I can't really predict what's really going to happen. Either can economist, what really going to happen. I think it's just important to stay aware and being able and ready to shift with those changes, because real estate or anything else in life, the reality is things change, and it's easy to get so stuck in this is how I've always done it. And there's a lot of things I've done that have worked really well. I just keep my mind open to, hey, as things change and when things change, being able to pivot. I think that's just an important way to take on life in general, business or other areas.
Well, thank you for answering my questions, and we will be moving on to the next person.
Hello, my name is Cy Washington. I'm in the 5th grade, and my first question for you is, what challenges did you face knowing that when you got deported, you didn't want to be a soldier anymore, you wanted to be a business owner?
Yeah, when I got deployed to Iraq, that's a great question. So it's kind of interesting. Like growing up, I really always kind of like to do my own thing, right? Like I like to kind of set my own rules and really not have a boss. Early on when I was 12, I went and got a paper route from 12 to 16 because my parents said, hey, if you want these things we can't afford, go figure out a way to get it. So it was getting up early and having a paper route. And I quickly realized being able to have my own income and my own financial freedom, even at a young age, gave me the ability to kind of do my own thing to some extent. And even though I didn't love people telling me what to do, there was an aspect of that was actually very helpful as far as the discipline part of it. So even before being in the military and going to Iraq, I was on a high school wrestling team. I had a coach that was training me hard, telling me what to do. And that gave me that discipline, that, how to work hard, how to overcome, challenging things. And the military was very similar, right? There was a lot of things physically and emotionally demanding. I think a big thing though, being in the military, you always have someone telling you what to do, where to be, how to dress, really 24/7. So even though I have a lot of gratitude for my experience, it just gave me an even more of a realization, like I don't want someone telling me what to do. And being an entrepreneur, running your own business, it's really up to you and those you surround yourself with to be successful and to make it work. And so you have to be self-motivated. So a lot of these other areas in my life, like the military and like wrestling, they gave me skills that definitely transferred over. Just ultimately it was, I wanted to do it on my own terms, not someone breathing down my neck telling me what I had to do.
Great answer. My second is, what challenges did you have to overcome when you started? So when you bought your first real estate and you were trying to get your product out there or whatever you was trying to sell?
I mean, when I started, I didn't know anything. So, as we mentioned, that Rich Dad Poor Dad book, it's really not a how-to book. It's more of a mindset around finances. So I read that book and I was motivated, And I thought, yeah, this is what I wanted to do. I still had no idea how, right? So I think starting off, the biggest challenge is just figuring out how to do it. And a lot of that's going to be experience and humbling yourself enough to ask questions and meeting people and talking with people and being willing to share with people what you're looking for. I mean, I told a lot of people that I was going to start buying real estate before I ever did, and they thought I was absolutely crazy. They're saying, "How you have no job, or you have a eventually I had a low paying job when I started investing in real estate." So a lot of it was just ignoring the naysayers, ignoring the haters, ignoring the people that weren't supportive, and that was fine. I understand it was very different than the typical, go to school, get a job. But I knew in my heart, in my mind, that's what I wanted to do. So it was not listening to the outside influences that weren't supportive. And so it's that belief and willing to take action and willing to believe in yourself that if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way. And so I would say the challenge is learning to kind of, really, really plug your ears and focus on what you believe is possible for your own life.
Okay, and for my last and final question, how does it feel to be a successful businessman?
No, I feel it feels good. It's interesting because I'm at a place in my life where I really enjoy more than anything being able to jump on calls like this and being able to to give back. And I'm able to do a lot of podcasts and meet really neat people. And I've jumped on calls with over 100 people this year that have just reached out, just wanting advice. And so it's neat. Like, I wasn't on social media for almost 3 years, and I got back on with the intention of, if I can impact even just one life in one positive way, because there's so much junk online. There's so much, negative stuff on there. If I could just make an impact in one life, I'm doing my part, and it's just been really neat. So yes, I have a lot of gratitude from what I've been able to build and what it's allowed me to be able to do, but I'm also really thankful that I'm able to share that information and give back and have the time to give back the way I do. Like, that's really important to me as well.
Thank you for your answer. That's all the questions I have for you today.
Nice job. Thank you.
I have 2 questions for you today.
All right.
Okay. So my first question is, how did you feel when you first read Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
I used to be embarrassed to share this, but I'm not anymore. It was the first book I ever read cover to cover, word for word, and I was like 19 years old. So I had never read a book fully from cover to cover, word for word, and I had never read a book that interests me like this. So when I picked up that book, the first thing I thought was, yes, this makes sense. Yes, it was the first book that I didn't want to put down. And so I think that's why it was so impactful. As I started reading it, it was so much different than anything I had ever learned in anywhere else in my life. It just made sense. It just clicked. And so I think the first thing I thought was, yep, the whole time I'm reading it. And I reread that book probably every year. I give that book out to people, and it's impacted a lot of lives. But what you do with that information is more important.
Thank you. And my second and final question, as you continue to pursue your career in real estate, what are your ideals and beliefs to help us learn more?
I think to help you guys learn more, if it's something that is of interest to you, real estate specifically, get out there and talk to people that are doing the things that you want to do, whether it's real estate or something else. If you're interested in business, you're interested in real estate, start meeting people and talking to people that are in it. You're never too young to start. Real estate, like any business, it really comes down to being a relationship business. When I look back on my very best deals, it's all because of people I've met, people I've talked to, and not being afraid of saying, hey, here's what I'm looking to do, or here's the types of properties I'm trying to buy. And so relationships are so important. I don't go into a deal as just a transaction. I'm dealing with people, and I meet a lot of people. Throughout the years, and I go into it. You know, some people are going to be friends. Some are going to be acquaintances. Some may lead to business transactions. I just don't go into it looking, hey, what am I going to get from this? It's more of a true, genuine interest in those people, and that may lead to a business deal, and it may not, and that's okay. But building relationships and letting people know what you're looking for is important, and you're never too young to start that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So when we're starting something, it's always eye-opening. You get to self-educate. You get to learn all types of new things, like new experiences, and that feeling is it's an awesome feeling to be like, yes, I'm learning this, I'm working hard, and my hard work is paying off for like the first time. So do you ever because you've been in the real estate business for years now, so do you ever miss that feeling of, yes, this just worked for the first time and I'm just now learning this is fresh new information?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because when I got started, I knew nothing and there was nothing to lose, right? Like I just had nothing to lose. So I was very fearless in a lot of ways, still am. Like I didn't have a plan B. Like I didn't have, a high paying job to go to. I didn't have anything to fall back on. This is what was going to work. And that was my only option. So I went into it full heartedly, just headstrong, I'm going to make this work. And as I realized, wow, this works. Like I remember that, you kind of explained the emotions of that first seller finance deal. I'm looking at the properties and the numbers and I'm going, this makes sense. This makes sense. What am I missing? What am I missing? This makes sense. What am I missing? And yes, there's that excitement. And there's been times where it's not always that new and exciting, but within real estate, as I said before, things change. And so there are still new and exciting things. Like I got on a call recently of a guy that I had reached out to about buying a property, and he wasn't originally wanting to sell it. Now he does. And so it's, those kind of opportunities, and having to be creative with, how you structure the deal is still very fun. I still really enjoy structuring the deals. I enjoy negotiating on the deals. And a lot of real estate is solving problems. So like if I can solve the problem for the seller and make a true win-win scenario, so the seller's happy, I'm happy, everyone involved's happy with the deal, like that's fun. Like I enjoy that. I enjoy that process. Sometimes there's things that come along that aren't like, yes, this is so fun. That's just part of it. I think that enjoying the process is just as fun, if not more fun, than the deal itself sometimes. And that process is super important too. I look at way more properties that don't work than properties that do work. And I analyze a lot more deals that I don't buy than I do buy. Markets change. This is the first year since 2008 I haven't bought a property, right? So it's a very different market than I'm used to, but there's a lot of potential deals in the works, and those are very exciting for different reasons than the properties in 05, 06, 07, and 2009. It's just a different, it's just different than it was, but that excitement's still there.
Yeah, that it's super awesome to be able to work in a place where it's like there's fun, there's bad days, so when you're having a good day. And like Rich Dad Poor Dad, like I was talking about, eye-opening, like it's super eye-opening and awesome. Like and it also sounds like something I love, moving and changing. I love when changes happen and it's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna make it work. So my next question is, so all of us, we're like teenagers, preteens, like middle school to high school age. So what is some advice that you would give for us as someone who's for us, we're also learning about real estate because we're learning on like how to wholesale real estate and stuff like that. So what is some advice that you would give for us that you really think is going to take us the farthest, and be the most helpful for like our age group?
You know, if you don't already know what your passion is, when you find your passion, just believe in what you're doing and give it 100%. You know, it's really that difference between motivation and discipline. Like there's times, kind of like going to the gym, like there's some days I'm super motivated, I'm excited to go, and there's other days I'm not, but it's the discipline that's going to get me there each day anyway. Like I've already decided that. And I think business and real estate's the same way. Like there's going to be days that you're going to be excited and motivated, and there's going to be days that you're not as motivated. But either way, you get up and you do what you need to do to get it done. And I think too, like if you believe in something strong enough and you're passionate about something and you go all in, I mean, that's a force to be reckoned with. I mean, that's a really strong force when you're given something your all. And specific to real estate, I see very few people, if any, that are in it long enough that don't find success. So oftentimes those that have not found success in real estate have quit too early. They gave up, right? They bought one rental property and they had a horrible tenant and they destroyed the house, and they're like, that's too much, I'm done. And I think that that's just sometimes part of the game. But those who have stuck with it and understand that long-term real estate is a great way to build and have wealth, find success. Now it's all different. I know investors from all over, and they all do it differently. So like my way isn't the only way. I mean, I can talk to 20 other real estate investors and they're all finding ways to have success. They're all finding ways to kick ass within real estate in their own way. You know, and that's what's great. You can talk to 20 investors, and any of them that have been in it long enough, they're finding their own little niche and their own successes. And sometimes, as we talked before, they have to shift. Like, you know, they started wholesaling or they started, you know, flipping houses, whatever it might be, and then they've shifted to something else, or they've stuck with what worked and that's been successful too. But it's really sticking with it long term if you truly believe in it. And it can feel slow at first. You know, a lot of that momentum that I've had over the last couple of years started from a very slow, you know, a little bit of cash flow from this property, a little bit of cash flow from this property. I mean, I stopped working and went into real estate full time. I was financially free very quick and very young, but I was poor. I mean, I had a couple houses that kicked off a couple $100s a month, but I did not have a lot of money when I started investing in real estate, and even several years in. But it was the belief that long-term real estate would provide that financial freedom. And another thing, now I'm going off on a tangent, but another thing, you know, I think that's important too, is if you're willing to make those early sacrifices. So I lived very, very frugally for a lot of years. I mean, I didn't buy new shoes. I lived in Oregon, didn't even have a rain jacket. It dumps rain here all the time. But a lot of those sacrifices I made early on has allowed me to be able to buy real estate. So a lot of the cool things I get to do today and a lot of things I can afford today are because of those early sacrifices. So back when my friends were, you know, buying fancy things and financing cars and these things they couldn't afford, I lived very frugally for a lot of years. And now the real estate, because that money went back into real estate, so it's that basic rich dad poor dad. I was out buying assets, not liabilities. So now these assets that I've owned for years are able to pay for these liabilities. So like, you know, some of these cool trips I get to go on with my family and some of the neat things that we get to do, it's because of those early sacrifices, because of that delayed gratification. And I think that's super, super important if you realize and believe that long-term vision of building wealth through real estate.
Yeah, it's super awesome to hear you say find your niche kind of and give it 100%. And a little shameless plug here, but I noticed that Miss Nikki, that's something that she does constantly for us. Like, she uses communication, and without communication, you probably wouldn't be here. You most definitely wouldn't be here, because we learn to communicate and we learn to stay strong. And in Rich Dad Poor Dad, believe in yourself, you said, it kind of talks about not being afraid to lose, even though you know there's a possibility, like, but you're keeping that way in the back of your mind, and you're working and you're working and you're working and you're making sacrifices. So yeah, it's super good to hear you say that, and you're really authentically dope. That's something I like to say here in Business Mind.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Dope. So yeah, thank you. I'm gonna start the outro now. Mr. Gabriel Hammel, and he was interviewed by Sire Washington, Noah Jackson, Janiyah Wilson, and me, Brooke Smith. And we learned to stay strong, always believe in yourself. We also learned that real estate is a game that's always changing, and it can be fun sometimes, but sometimes it can be really, really hard. We also learned that within real estate, there is going to, when you're first starting, there's going to be a lot of rough times and things that you have to come over and look over and see beyond that. So thank you, Mr. Gabriel Hammel, for your time. We really value time here at Business Mind, so thank you for your time. Thank you, Miss Nikki, for working to get him here and actually give us chances to learn about all these really dope things. So yeah.
Awesome, thanks. This goes out to all the first responders dealing with this pandemic.
And my well wishes go to all the businesses and companies that are suffering because of Corona.
My name is Sarah Washington, and I give my well wishes to all the people that are suffering from COVID-19.
Hello, my name is Janiyah Wilson, and I give my well wishes to all those people who are like staying at home because, you know, it's COVID right now, and so they have to make their way through home, you know, staying at home and stuff. So that's my well wish.
My name is Brooke Smith, and my well wish is to Jamaica, you know, in SARS. Yeah, that's my well wish.
Thank you for watching Business Minds Kids, where we train the kings and queens of the future.